Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the Rogue subclasses. We are rather close to NDA being over, and the 1D&D rules being out. For some subclass options, it's not going to really affect you at all, because, they're not in the new Player's Handbook. But for others it will, and, it's been kind of a race against the clock for that, but also, whatever. If we're not done, we're not done. Oh, also, to address any potential criticism, okay, I just want it to be known that if the ratings aren't what you expect, right, it's a combination of both me and Amoeba having different thoughts on what makes something good, but also I think some things are just of more value to both of us in a campaign than some things, right? Like, if you're a class that does nothing but a little bit of extra damage and gets a couple of skill proficiencies, or like a subclass, that's probably really good, but I don't care. Like, I'm not really that interested in that, so that's all I'm gonna say as far as that's concerned. Do you have anything you want to add?
Uh, I'm a professional hater, so
Alright, well, there you go.
that's the other caveat there.
Um, starting us off then, the Arcane Trickster Rogue. Here we are. Some rogues enhance their fine-honed skills of stealth and agility with magic, learning tricks of enchantment and illusion. These rogues include pickpockets and burglars, but also pranksters, mischief makers, and a significant number of adventurers. Yeah, Arcane Trickster. Wahoo. Yippee.
This subclass does some neat things.
Yeah.
It's you can get a lot out of not a lot from being a rogue and a spellcaster, of just having. I mean, it's always nice to be invisible, to fly, to have a mage hand, to charm someone. But as a rogue, you can sort of. It feels a lot more impactful to have these little tricks, I think.
Yeah,
You
I think
charm
so.
someone. To be somewhere. Rogues can oftentimes get somewhere that the rest of your party can't. Just through. It's sort of the class fantasy, is they're really good at certain things. So.
Yeah. Also, things like invisibility and disguise self, I feel like they just lend themselves to a rogue, like,
Yeah.
much more obviously. Not that, like, you can't have a illusionist wizard or something that helps you with this. You could do the same stuff.
And you can sort of, you can cast invisibility on your rogue, but
However,
sometimes
it's
having
still
it
pretty
just
good.
feels cool.
Not to mention, I figure, it might be brought up if I don't mention it. Yes, before Steady Aim existed, which, Steady Aim exists now, so it's not as big of a deal. But before Steady Aim existed, you could use your familiar to help give you advantage on things. If you take Find Familiar, which
That
is good. But
that being said, you are one of the few quarter casters, which means you really don't get you get very, very little spells and spell slots.
that is true. You get some cantrips though, which are alright, and
And
you
your
get a
mage hand
better mage hand, which is pretty
your mage hand is
cool.
better.
I
Which
think
is cool,
it
yeah.
tends to be pretty relevant.
If you start to get
campaign.
higher things, magical ambush is very good.
Yeah, magical ambush is really good, but I mean you have to keep in mind at this point you have second level spells. It's not a ton of things that are amazing here. I mean,
No, but
there are
as you
some
start to
things that
get
are
higher,
great.
there's some fancy little things you can start to do.
Not to mention you could just
Um,
class and make it better by just being a wizard. Wow, crazy. Um. Hmm.
um,
Versatile Trickster just lets you use your mage hand to do the thing you would have done with a familiar. Just get
yeah, which is
advantage on
pretty
things, which
worthless.
is okay if literally steady aim wasn't a third level feature, and since it is, your 13th level feature is
And you also have
useless.
you could do this with your familiar, so it doesn't really do anything
You
even
also
there.
have to use mage hand before this as well. So
Using mage hand is very good outside of combat. In combat, it is an action.
Spell Thief is pretty cool, actually. It's a 17th level feature, so you, like, never get it, but if you do, it's pretty sick, in my opinion.
It's like a counter spell.
Yeah,
It's neat.
it's a counter
But you
spell,
can like take the spell.
and you could use it. It's pretty good.
Once per long rest. So, but it has the added benefit. It's cool.
It's a cool feature.
I don't know that it's that good at 17th level.
I mean, it is and
But
isn't, right? Using it once is less good because it's 17th level, but also using it at all is better because it's 17th level, because at that level, the enemies casting spells on you are going to be pretty crazy. So
yeah, but like your wizard can cast counterspell like 9 times per day.
yeah,
You could cast counterspell at this point
you could.
3 times.
Yeah. But
Um,
nonetheless, I mean, you get to use the spell, which is the cool part.
you have to use one of your slots to, so you can't use it if it's higher than 3rd level.
That's fair.
Or 4th level once you're level 19. But
Yeah, that's not super good. But, you
it's
know,
kind of
it's
neat. I
something.
think it would be better if you got it like, at 13th level. I don't think it would be busted.
Nah, it should just be
I
the
don't know.
same thing, but instead of using one of your spell slots, it just lets you use the spell you used once per long rest.
Yeah, I think that would be fine too. I mean, then you like steal the BBG's wish spell
Yeah, that'd be
once in a
sick.
campaign. I don't think that would matter that much.
Yeah.
You should probably be if you're gonna have your BBG cast wish within 60 feet of your party. You should probably be considering counterspell anyway.
Probably.
Um.
But I
Anyway,
digress.
I think this class is like pretty decent. It's
Yeah.
fun. It has some neat ideas. I do think it's a little weak.
I think that's true of pretty much all the rogue subclasses. I mean, they're not. They get some pretty insane level 17 features, but once again, how often do rogues get to level
I just
17?
feel like
It's
it could use a
often.
little bit more. I'd put it in B, maybe.
I want to preface this. If we put Arcane Trickster in B, I don't know if
Maybe it should be
really
in C.
any other rogue subclass will make it past B. Single class rogues are weak, and in a lot of cases, their subclasses are not very good either. So we could just rate it low and be like, rogues are just bad. I'm fine with that.
I don't know. I'd put it in B. You can put it in A if you want to. I
I'll put
wouldn't
it
be.
in B. That's fine. All right, the assassin rogue.
You focus your training on the grim art of death. Those who adhere to this archetype are diverse hired killers, spies, bounty hunters, and even special anointed priests trained to exterminate the enemies of their deity. Stealth, poison, and disguise help you eliminate your foes with deadly efficiency.
Yippee.
I mean, this is the Rogue. Probably the most well known.
Yeah.
They have the best. They have a good implementation. You get the drop on someone. There's a high level assassin rogue. You can start to one tap some meaningful enemies if you put in the effort to get to attack them unnoticed. It's that being said, it's level 3 feature is that, and it's kind of clunky and doesn't come up.
Yeah. Not to mention, get a
Huge.
proficiency with a disguise kit and a poisoner's kit. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool, but
It's not that useful.
at least until like they updated tools.
I mean, I
They're
should
kinda
think you
like-
should assume that the tools are updated. I mean, that's.
I mean,
saying a
yeah,
lot.
sure. They're fine. It's okay.
I mean, I think if you are an assassin, I think a disguise kit is fairly relevant at low levels. The problem is once you get to higher levels, and it becomes less relevant.
It doesn't matter that much,
It's
especially if
good.
you have a good like an expertise in deception. Or
Yeah, when you're dealing with low-level guys, you're bumping around a city with subterfuge and nonsense. It doesn't matter, or it can matter.
yeah, I mean, you
Generally,
walk up
once
to a
you-
biblically accurate angel with a trench coat and a mustache, and they're just gonna be like, I don't really care. Get
Yeah,
lasered.
you're fighting Beholder, roughly it should. It started a T-Rex. It started something that really
Also, the
matter.
assassinate feature is in theory very good, but also, I mean, there's a reason I think they're changing it in the what I think people are calling it the 5.24 update or something, whatever.
I heard that. It's funny.
And it's just because
It's clunky. It's hard because it's such a big upside too.
you're not gonna be able to get surprised very consistently in a campaign that's being run by a DM that's trying to tell a story. Like, the amount of times you'll be able to just go ahead of your party, stealth into a room, not be seen, then go and attack a guy at the start of initiative. I don't know. It's not super common.
Yeah, it's not something you generally want to encourage. I mean, I think a lot of times, as your DM, if your players have a feature that references a rule or something, you want to create opportunities for them to get to use it. But this one isn't really something where you can do that. It's such a huge upside. You can't really balance your combats around letting them assassinate something every combat. And
yeah.
you can make your enemies feel really dumb if you just leave an opportunity for them to.
I mean, there's definitely some
You
situations.
can outsmart them, but you don't want to leave it open for them to be outsmartable all the time. You really want your players to outsmart them.
Yeah. I mean, there's
and
gonna be
go-
situations where a DM's like, oh yeah, sure, there's an opportunity for you to get an assassinate around here, but I think for the most part, you're kind of waiting for that to happen, and it's a little feels bad when a feature doesn't work because of situations that are out of your control.
Yeah. That being said, that is only the 3rd level feature, and the rest of the features
They're pretty terrible.
are pretty bad. Your 9th level feature is.
You need a week and 25 gold, which, to be fair,
Which
25
doesn't
gold at
matter.
9th level, who cares?
It doesn't really make a
A
difference.
week, though? That'll matter in a lot of campaigns. Not only that,
Very few campaigns to where
It's a week
I
to essentially disguise yourself in a situation to where most DMs, and by most I mean like pretty much all of them, except for ones that are maybe they know you're playing a level 9 assassin rogue and it's a deep political intrigue campaign. Just use like roll a deception check and use disguise self or something.
I
Like,
mean, I think in a longer campaign,
like who cares?
odds are you'll get to use this once. Something will come up, you'll need to sneak into a party, and this will give you a way better.
Yeah,
But
maybe
your ninth level
one
feature
time.
being used once in a longer campaign. Like, if this isn't a long campaign,
Yeah, but we're talking
there's
like
a
a
high
critical
upper
role
chance.
type of campaign too. This isn't
Yeah.
just like it can be a longer campaign, but if it's mainly dungeon crawling and like combat focus, this is useless.
Yeah, like you're playing. If you're
So
playing, you're playing like Tomb of Annihilation or Strixhaven.
it needs to be really long
Curse of Strahd.
and really RP heavy.
You aren't using this anyway. Yeah, and those are long campaigns. It's so,
Yeah,
and you don't want your 9th level feature and your 13th level feature is kind of the same thing. You can spend 3 hours studying a person's behavior and observe their mannerisms to copy them. It's sort of, I feel like that should be part of the 9th level feature.
Should
make
be.
it slightly better, and it doesn't do you much.
Yeah, the 13th level feature and the 19th and the 9th
The
level feature should
13th
just be
level
one
feature,
thing.
if my assassin rogue just described the 13th level feature at level 4 to me, and they were like, can I do this? Can I watch someone for 3 hours and try to mimic their speech, behavior, writing? I would just say, yeah, sure. Roll me a deception check. You can do that.
It doesn't seem like something you should even need to get from a subclass
Yes,
either.
and then your 17th level is kind of just your 3rd level feature. It's okay. It's good. You can start to like one-shot God stuff, but you know.
Yeah,
are
sure.
you gonna
The 17th level
surprise?
feature, like most rogue
surprise
features,
a biblically accurate angel lich? I mean, I don't think so.
yeah, probably not. But if you
And
do,
that,
you know,
that
you
combined
one-shot
with
them.
the other features, I feel like this subclass, maybe there's some RP things you can get from, but I feel like that's just a downside of the subclass, just not hitting them.
Yeah.
Is the only reason to do this is if you want to play like a Gloomstalker Ranger and have a crazy first turn.
Yeah.
Maybe you get the Assassinate off, maybe you don't, but you still have advantage on attack rolls that haven't on creature, and then you have really high initiative, and there's no reason to go above 3, I don't think.
Not really.
Unless you're hit all the things in Gloomstalker Ranger you want, and you just have some levels buff. You want to buff your sneak attack die
at
a little
5,
bit more.
just because you get
Or
uncanny
get
dodge then
uncanny
too.
dodge. So, I mean, it has a very powerful... I feel like overall it's a pretty bad subclass.
Yeah.
Especially because it has this thematic idea of being...
Yeah.
Of really infiltration and disguise that it just doesn't hit.
Which you could do just as easily, if not better, by just being any bard.
You could do this better as an Arcane Trickster.
You could, yeah. You could.
You just cast Disguise Self and you have a better feature than level 13.
So it's one of those things, if you really value just one-shotting a boss, and you think that makes your gameplay better, and you think your DM will let you do that often, then this is probably a really highly rated subclass for you. But
really
if you think that just one-shotting a boss is lame and anticlimactic, and you think your DM will probably not let you do it very often, this subclass is essentially not doing anything. You're just a rogue with no subclass. So
the only thing it lets you do essentially is
I'll put it in D.
if you roll higher on initiative for the first time.
Yeah, I don't want to roll. I don't want to put it in F just because, it
I mean,
you
like
know
this up.
does something.
Yeah, and going 3 levels in it and can be pretty good.
Yeah.
Because then it feels like the crit
You can
thing's in
multi-class it.
upside, but the advantage thing's good enough.
Yeah. You know, disguise kit and poisoner's kit proficiency is at least kind of fun, even if it's useless.
Yeah.
Inquisitive rogue. As an archetypical, I feel like this word changes often, but whatever. As an archetypal inquisitive, you excel at rooting out secrets and unraveling mysteries. You rely on your sharp eye for detail, but also on your finely honed ability to read the words and deeds of other creatures to determine their true intent. Excel at defeating creatures that hide among prey. Hide among and prey upon ordinary folk. And your mastery of lore and your keen deductions make you well equipped to expose and end hidden evils. But anyway, this is kind of one of 2 like Sherlock Holmes-y classes in Rogue.
It's a very weird class. I don't know, you're asking for a lot of by playing this class.
I mean, if you're playing like a mystery themed like one shot or something, I think this could be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Eye for Deceit is good. Essentially, all your insight checks can't roll lower than an 8, which is like the bard's. I forget which bard it is. Eloquence, I believe.
Yeah, except that's notably better, but it's fine. This
I
is
mean,
still
if
pretty
you
good.
want to be rolling a lot of I've played very wary characters that are very distrusting, and you can roll a lot of checks, and that always being high means
Yeah, it's still valuable, I think. And a bonus action, this being a bonus action doesn't really matter to me at all, because, I mean...
Trying to spot hidden creatures as a bonus action is maybe okay. You doing a bonus action to uncover and decipher clues?
I don't think this... Like, both of these matter, right? If you use an investigation check, there's a good chance you're trying to uncover or decipher clues in some regard. And if you do a perception check, there's a good chance you're looking for a hidden creature or object. But this being a bonus action doesn't mean anything. It should just give you advantage instead. Like...
Well, you get that later. At 9th level, you have advantage on perception and investigation checks if you don't move more than half your speed.
Which, once again, I feel like the last thing, this could just be eye for detail, and level 9 could give you a real feature instead.
Maybe.
That's just my opinion.
Steady Eye is big rogue energy, which is a big part of rogue, where it feels like you should essentially out of combat you have advantage on it on these checks at all times. It's not that crazy, but I feel like it runs into a lot of issues where your DM is like, well, I don't want to give you advantage on these all the time. That sounds crazy, but it's not actually that good. I mean, it's probably fine.
I think it's okay if that's what your class does. And they get insightful fighting.
Yeah, which is a way to get. It's kind of you can insight someone, which you can't roll lower than an 8 on. Well, I guess I don't know if I guess this doesn't count as, but contested by a deception check, and you can sneak attack them even if you don't have advantage.
Wahoo!
But it lasts for a minute, which is kind of so you can always sneak attack one guy if you do this. It's not just worthless with steady aim existing. You can sort of like nuke some, but it doesn't have a number of uses, so you can just do it. It just takes some action economy, which I think is neat.
It's fine.
Rogues having a way to sneak attack without sneak attack is kind of interesting. Let's have a little bit of this later, but
also, I feel like being able to use an ability check in combat. This isn't like Pathfinder 2, so most of the time it's pointless, right? Like, if you're like, I want to make a perception check. Yeah, technically, rules as written, it's an action to do that in combat.
yes,
But most of the time, when people play this game, they just ignore that. I mean, I don't know. Let me know if at your table they don't. But, like, a lot of times it doesn't matter. So, I don't know.
I mean, I've personally found that I rule it as a bonus action and at my table, and a lot of times it ends up being they will it pushes players to go, well, I have a bonus action, so check. Or they don't remember it at all, or they want to use their bonus action.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always happy to have them make checks, so I will often hand wave it and let them make checks for free anyway. In a lot of scenarios, sometimes I'll go, "Oh, you gotta spend the action," and someone will have to look into it. But generally, my players not tunnel vision,
Yeah.
to figure something out or trying to do something like that is just beneficial. And if you're being a stickler and not letting them do that anyway, probably assuming that they don't need the information, and thus this feature isn't very useful.
I generally allow skill checks as bonus actions as well in combat, just because. I mean, if it matters, right? But in this situation, I feel like you're a class that likes to use their bonus action a lot.
Yeah, you are.
So it's not good. It's not very good. And out of combat, it doesn't matter if it's your bonus action. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
That's just
then
me.
your 13th level feature is an action set presence of illusions and shapeshifters. But
Yeah, that's okay.
you have to assume that there is an illusion or shapeshifter.
Yeah, but you can. Oh, well, you have to use an action, right? So it's not automatic.
Yeah, so it's not automatic.
So you as a player have to detect it, and then you have to detect it as your character.
Yeah, not only that, but it has a number of uses. So you can't just walk around and go,
It's also equal to your wisdom mod, which up until this point, I mean, I guess you want decent insight, right? But
yeah, but you also want decent investigation, which is intelligence based.
yeah, and perception, which is also wisdom. But yeah, it's something. It's something to be sure.
So
You probably
I
are
don't
only
know.
getting
This
like
one's
2
like
uses of this
nigh
max.
unusable. Because if there's an illusion, you could probably just. I mean, if someone's disguised, maybe. But generally, you could you can. If you want to test that something's an illusion, generally you can do that by move it or something. If you're in a situation where you can't get to it within 30 feet, I don't know. But I don't know. It feels kind of bad to just go as an action. Are there any illusions or shapeshifters? Oh.
All right, well, there's my one time to use this for the day.
Or
goes back on long rest.
You're talking to a guy, and then he's a shapeshifter, but you didn't have any reason to believe he was a shapeshifter, or you didn't want to waste your feature, and then he stabs you in the back, and he was a shapeshifter.
Yeah, it really feels bad.
And you're like, oh, I could have found that out.
Yeah, an
pretty,
eye for weakness gives you bigger sneak attack. Wowee.
it's pretty
Yippee.
good. I feel
Wahoo.
like it's just like
It's
half the features
okay.
are unusable. Eye for weakness is pretty decent. I mean, it's just a bonus to your sneak attack.
Yeah, I
Its
mean, just
classes
better sneak
all
attack is fine, but it's
it's
also just like,
some classes
eh.
all over the place. Half of them are worthless. Half of them are neat ideas,
I
but
mean,
most of them are bad.
look, I like to make subclasses. I could rewrite this and make it, like, at least more usable.
Yeah, but as written, the idea is cool, but I feel like it's just.
I think it's terrible.
I'd put it in
I don't. Once again, I
D.
don't think it's an F tier, but I'm putting this in D. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
ass.
it's not good.
Mastermind.
Your focus is on people and the influence and secrets they have. Many spies, uh, courtiers, and schemers follow this archetype, leading lives of intrigue. Words are your weapons, and often as words are weapons as often as knives and poisons. Secrets and favors are sometimes your favorite treasures.
Wow, it's thematically very similar to the assassin and the inquisitive. Wow, that's crazy. It's like you're
Yeah,
like a detective again or something.
it's a very similar idea where you're smart and you're looking for things in people. This one uh ends up being more focused on your allies, but I think it also just works better. This one is it lets you do a lot of interesting things. It has similar ideas where you gain proficiency in a disguise kit, a free kit, and a gaming kit.
Which,
You can
whatever.
just mimic speech patterns and an accent of a creature that you hear speak for 1 minute, which is the like ninth level fashion. You have to watch them for 3 hours, and you only have to do it for 1 minute here. It's almost the same feature.
Also, you get a better help action, and you get
Help
it as a
action
bonus action.
as a bonus action within 30 feet,
Which
is very
I think
cool.
is pretty hype. I think
It
that's
makes
pretty
you.
exciting.
It's a very neat idea that makes you a support like rogue that isn't healing or isn't casting spells. And then your ninth level feature is your ability to understand people, watch them, to learn something about creatures. You can learn what they're essentially what their how their stats relate to yours, their um,
Yeah, their
mental stats.
mental stats and their class levels,
Yeah, so
which
if
is
they're
something.
stronger than you,
It's
which can matter.
mechanically a thing. It is a
Which,
little weird to be like, what class and cleric is this person, or like what level of cleric, and then your DM's like, oh, they're like level 4 cleric, and you're like, oh, okay.
yeah, but I could also see. I mean, I would also think like. I guess it's not exactly written, but I would say like is he, then you sort of get whether he's sort of more of a goon or whether this monster.
It is a minute outside of combat, so it's not incredibly useful. But if you
Yeah,
think you're gonna fight someone, you could at least see if their saves are low in a certain area, which is
this is
okay.
like it's the assassin idea though. I think just implemented better. Where this idea of you want to sneak around and get the drop on someone, but instead this is you have to sneak around. You have to know you're gonna fight someone,
Mhm.
but you just need to be able to observe. So you just have to get into a position where you can see them. You learn some things about them, and then you have
Yeah, it's
a little
okay.
bit of a buff. Um, it also says you can learn a piece of history or personality trait, so it can sort of be used for out of combat things potentially as well.
At the DM's discretion, it says.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's sort of. I would imagine it would depend on what you're observing them doing and who they are. whether you'd actually be able to glean any of that, but I think it's a better way to do it. So that way it's a little bit less descriptive. I mean, you don't have to land on someone with a knife without them knowing. Being able to just view someone for a minute is a lot more. And your DMs, you're going to be in a situation where you can do that a lot. And your DM's not going to go, well, you're not doing 150 damage to my enemy. You're learning more about my lore. So it's more like your DM generally wants to give you this, I feel like, a lot more.
Yeah. Misdirection is pretty hard to use. In theory, the idea is you're standing behind a guy, and then another guy shoots an arrow at you, but then they shoot the guy you're standing behind instead. And
I mean,
that's
it's pretty good.
sounds pretty cool, but the chances of that exact thing happening is not super common. Not to mention, it's like, I mean, if you're running in ahead of everyone and are attacked by many people and they're flanking you, this could be used to not be hit by one attack, which is all right.
I mean, if you're next to someone flanking a guy with your barbarian
But it
or something,
isn't just a situation in which you're like if you're standing 5 feet next to someone and targeted, you can hit them, which in itself I think would be a little niche, but still pretty good. But they have to be giving you cover as well. So if they're not doing that, then you can't use it, which is
you could also, I mean, maybe a little controversial, doesn't specify that it's an enemy. So you could use this if you're standing next to your like a really tanky paladin or barbarian, and you could have them take the hit for you.
that's true. You could do that.
Um,
I think
and you
that's
can control that a
probably a
lot.
pretty good idea. Because
Yeah,
you can
assuming they
sort
want
of
to take the
actually
hit for
control that.
you.
Yeah. But again, like if you get hit by a fire breath, it doesn't target you. So rules as written, you can't use this to
Oh
not
yeah,
take
but you still have
damage.
evasion and
Yeah,
uncanny.
you're still a rogue, so there's a
You're
good
still a
chance
rogue,
you're fine in that
so
situation.
it's
But
just it's sort of just like an added benefit to evasion and uncanny dodge. It's another way you can evasion and uncanny dodge in a different situation where it's not a deck save and it's an attack roll. It's sort of just a buff on uncanny dodge. Where in another situation, you get a better version of uncanny dodge if it's a attack and you're behind another creature. If it's an enemy, then you can just negate the attack entirely. Even better, you hit the opponent, and it's really good.
yeah,
I think if you think about it like that, it has a very powerful upside. If it doesn't always come into play, that it doesn't have any uses, and it's very good in the situations where you get it to work out.
yeah, you're probably not going to be using
Um,
your reaction every turn anyway. I mean, you might be, but
I mean, you're probably just uncanny dodging, but I think it's just you uncanny dodge unless you can do this and you do this,
sure.
or you're evasioning. So I think that's fine.
17's not very good.
Weird. It's not good. It's like a neat idea if your
If you're
mind's
making
being
a level
read.
17 character, you can make it okay. But up until this point, there's not really a good reason to be specking into specifically charisma and taking expertise in deception. You might be thinking, I'm a rogue, I might take expertise in deception, but like the ones that
I
you're
mean, you
taking
could.
first are probably not that. You could take it, but
I
either
mean, but
way.
it's just if your mind's being read,
Yeah, if they're trying to read your mind, they probably have
and
a
have it
good
be a
insight
deception.
anyway.
Well, not necessarily,
Also,
but probably.
um, it's you can stop people from reading your mind, fine.
But
People don't
I think this is a
know if
decent
you're
feature.
lying.
If your mind's being read, you can do a lot of powerful stuff, but your mind isn't read very often. Very few things read your mind.
Yeah, and if
Uh,
magic makes you
enough.
tell the truth, you don't have to, but
Yeah, but it's just
I
at
don't
17th
know.
level, it's not gonna come up very often. That's like a once per campaign type thing.
Yeah,
And as
this
a
is
17th level feature, you really want that to shine and do something.
yeah, it'll probably come up once, maybe. And if you're playing in like a let's say a mind flayer setting where this stuff will come up all the time, there's a good chance your DM knows you have this, and they just will be like, "Well, I'm gonna stop using this on this character because he's just gonna keep making
Well, I mean,
mistakes."
that's not necessarily a thing, but and your DM might just give it and say, well, might make a plot point. But if
Not
you're
to
doing
mention you
something
have
with
party
mind
members who
flares or
don't have
something,
this, and you don't protect them. So
yeah, you can do a neat moment, but it's probably something that even probably something that comes up like once or twice in a campaign, maybe for like one section of a campaign. You have to be 17th level
yeah,
for that to come up. You're probably the section that it would be relevant in. You weren't 17th level, which is such an unfortunate thing because the rest of this class really feels like we know you're smart and we know you have all this stuff, but you're just going to role play that out of combat. So we're going to give you ways that you can do these things in combat to make you shine in combat, and then you just role play your character rogue stuff outside of combat. And this isn't that, and it's
no,
a real unfortunate
I think
capstone
it's kind of
class
meh.
that I think is very good.
I think I I don't know. I like Master of Tactics. I think everything else is not super fun or cool or good. Um,
I think it's pretty good.
I would put it in D tier with the
Put it
rest.
in D. I don't think it deserves that. It's easily better than Assassin. I think
I don't think
just
so.
by the nature, it's just Assassin. I think it's just better than Assassin and
I don't think so.
Inquisitive. It
I
just
think
hits
it
the idea
I think
better.
it is comparable to Assassin,
At least put it in
but it
C.
occasionally does way less damage than Assassin. I'm not putting it in C.
You can help action as a bonus action. That's very powerful.
Have you ever seen anyone play a Phantom Rogue?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Nonetheless, many rogues walk a fine line between life and death, risking their own lives and taking the lives of others. While adventuring on that line, some rogues discover a mystical connection to death itself. These rogues take knowledge from the dead and become immersed in negative energy, eventually becoming like ghosts. These guilds value them highly, effective information gatherers and spies. Many Shadar-kai of the Shadowfell are masters of these macabre techniques, and some are willing to teach this path in places like Thay in the Forgotten Realms and Karnith in Eberron, where many necromancers practice their craft. A phantom can be a wizard's confidant and right hand. In temples of gods of death, the phantom might work as an agent to track down those who try to cheat death and recover knowledge that might otherwise be lost to the grave. How did you discover this grim power? Did you sleep in a graveyard to awaken your new abilities, or did you cultivate them in a temple or a thieves' guild dedicated to a deity of death? That is a long excerpt compared to the other assassin ones that are just like, you're a guy, you have a knife.
Yeah.
Oy.
This rogue's pretty cool. People
Uh,
should play this.
yeah, you can pick a
It
skill
seems
proficiency
it's
for short
good.
rest that you don't have to get.
Yeah, and you can change it. It can be a tool proficiency as well,
True.
which is neat flavor as sort of a ghostly presence sharing with you. You can do a lot of cool character stuff with that. And you can a number of times you can do proficiency bonus. You can sneak attack a sort of half your sneak attack damage to another creature within 30 feet of the creature that you sneak attack, which is very good.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Your ninth level feature is good. It's sort of like Soul Cage, baby Soul Cage. It lets you use your third level feature when you kill things, you can like get a trinket from someone. You can only have enough equal to your proficiency bonus. You can use it to gain advantage on death saving, con saving those. Pretty cool. You can use it to use your third level feature more, or you can ask it a question. It's like pretty good. Your 13th level feature is you can become a ghost as a bonus action. Which isn't that good. You get a 10-foot fly speed for 10 minutes, essentially.
That's
and
not
you can
terrible.
go through. Oh, you can go through objects with it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. So you could like float through walls. That's pretty cool. And you can only do it once per day, but you can also do it if you use when you're 9th level. So you could do it a lot of times per day if you're using your trinkets.
Yeah. Which just have to kill people, pretty much. So.
Yeah. And your 17th level features, pretty decent. You just get a trinket if you don't have one, or you get a trinket at the beginning of the day. And it just lets you do damage to the creature that you're more damage.
Yeah, you get more sneak attack damage than Inquisitive does.
Yeah, I mean it's a resource, technically, not every time, but
not every time.
It's probably just better.
But also, you get to hit a second creature. And unlike a lot of things that are like you can hit a second creature, this is within 30 feet and not within 5 feet. The chances of that being a thing is pretty high.
And it's within 30 feet of the creature hit too.
Yeah.
So you could snake that around.
You could still be a bow rogue.
You can be a bow rogue, and it's not a bad thing. If you have a longbow, you shoot someone from away, you can hit someone 150 feet away.
Yeah.
With the second sneak attack. Just cool.
Yeah. It's actually kind of neat. It has a cool mechanic. I like the trinket thing. It doesn't like it doesn't really get anything that like is just stupid broken or like necessarily cracks open the rogue class as a whole, but it seems like it's just pretty good.
All of its features are just good. It works. It has some like fairly powerful, but you can only. But then you have a way to do it more, which is like it's like an interesting.
I mean, at 3,
limitation.
it's a little weak because you don't have a very high proficiency bonus. But later on, it's pretty good.
But you actually get later features that are good, unlike all the other. Which really fall
your
flat
level 9 and 13 features are not useless like most rogue subclasses.
They're just sort of all good. I mean, like you said, none of them are crazy, but I think they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd put it an A. It's also thematic and neat.
Yeah, it's thematically good, and also all the features make sense together. They all seem to just kind of work. There's not like a horrible downside to using it that's just worse than being a regular rogue. Like I feel like a lot of things are. I'm okay with putting it in A. I don't even necessarily think it's stronger than Arcane Trickster, but I think it's more well put together than it is. So
yeah,
I'm okay with that.
And it potentially does more damage. Arcane, or it kind of just does more damage there. Has some trick can't do. I don't know that it's just better, but it is way more exciting, I think.
Yeah. Because, I mean, once again, I like Arcane Tricksters, but in a lot of situations, it's just better to multi-class out of it, be a wizard. But, you know, que sera. Nonetheless, we have Scout Rogue. Wahoo!
You are skilled in stealth, driving, allowing you to scout ahead of your companions' expedition. Rogues who embrace this archetype are at home in the wilderness and among barbarians and rangers, and many scouts even serve as the eyes and warband. Ambusher, spy, bounty hunter. These are just a few roles that scouts assume as they range the world.
Wow. And Scout's an archetype that should be in the Rogue. They changed it in the 5.24 rules. So, good on them for doing that. I'm thinking of Thief.
Yeah, this one gets compared to Thief a lot. I think this one's pretty good. Your level 3 features are that you can move as a reaction with 5 can make you very slippery, very hard, very annoying
Yeah.
melees to fight you.
Yep.
Because they have to run up to you and then move. They either move half your movement.
You could be
And
something
if
with a lot of speed
that,
as well.
you play like uh, wood elf
Yeah.
or something, you're faster, then there's a good chance they can't get to you. They moved up to you. If they have the movement to get, they can hit them, or they're just kind of they have to dash now or something. And you can sort of kite them around, put them in bad positions where after you, they know they can't get to you, and they're just kind of stuck.
Mm.
I mean, it's particularly good if you have a bow. Um, you get expertise in more things. Also,
Yeah,
night
in nature and
survival,
survival, which is fine, I guess.
which is
I do
fun.
want to say it is not getting updated in the new rules. I said that because I thought it was a different subclass.
Yeah.
This isn't showing up. But I still think Scout's a good thing for rogues
It's
to
pretty deep.
have. Like, I feel like this is a
It's like
fantasy that
ranger
could be cool.
adjacent, which I think is fun.
Yeah.
Makes you feel rangery without the magic, which I think is an archetype that is
I think superior
killing.
mobility is kind of it's kind of funny. You your walking speed increases by 10 feet. If you have a climbing or swimming speed, it applies to those as well. But you don't get a
It's a bit unfortunate. I
climbing
feel like this
speed.
your ninth level feature should just give you a climbing and swim.
Yeah, I
I feel like if this was written, I don't remember what book this is in. I don't know if this is a
this is a
big
Xanathar's one.
this is Xanathar.
Yeah, this
If
is a
this was
Xanathar.
written in Tasha's or after Tasha's, I feel like it would just say you get a climbing and swimming speed. And I feel like it should just say that. Because Rangers get that through the Tasha's rule. They get the roving thing, which is at 6th level, I believe. They just get a climbing and swimming speed.
Yeah.
And it would make you feel more rangery. Um,
Yeah, you get advantage on initiative.
First creature you hit during combat, you get advantage on the next turn until the start of your next turn,
Yeah, so your
which
allies
is
can hit it.
attack roll you, which is decent. I don't know. 17th level, you can do an attack as a bonus action that can sneak attack.
Which,
Um,
pretty good.
you can't you so you can sneak attack twice in a turn, which is very powerful. You can't sneak attack the same twice in a turn, which means you need to fulfill the sneak attack requirement on both creatures, which is a bit harder to do, but is very powerful.
I mean, it isn't that bad. You shoot a bow at someone, do sneak attack damage. You shoot at someone else, do sneak attack damage.
And think it's a bit underpowered.
Yeah.
Especially the
Actually,
13th level feature, I think should have something else.
I'm
The
thinking
9th
about
level
Sudden
feature,
Strike, though, right? If you're using a bow, it's more
Sudden
likely to
Strike
be
is
able to
very
hit two guys, right? Because you have more range. But if you're using a bow, you don't get advantage from things being knocked prone. If you're using a bonus action to attack, you can't use steady aim. So
He does take your bonus action, which means a
and if you're
lot.
hiding and you take the attack action to attack someone and get sneak attack damage that way, you're no longer hiding.
Correct. However, you can also sneak attack things are just next to your allies. But so if you're hiding, you can sneak attack something, then attack your ally, or if you just have an ally next to two enemies,
It does seem like it's
if you have
a
an
pretty good
ambush
feature, but it
master,
is. I don't know. It seems like it's
you can have
harder to
advantage on
use than I
something.
originally thought. At least.
Yeah, that sort of was my caveat. It's pretty easy to gain a game sneak attack on something. It's a bit more of an ass to be able to sneak attack two things every turn.
Yeah.
But it is at 17th level, your sneak attack is a lot of damage. And sneak attacking two things in a round, very powerful. I think generally high level rogues are doing less damage than a fighter. On average. But you're probably doing more damage than a fighter sneak attacking two things.
If you can sneak attack two things.
If you can sneak attack two things. Like, if you are doing that,
and
you
also, if
doing a monstrous amount of damage. If this got a climbing and swimming speed, and I don't know exactly, I feel like the 13 needs something else. Like
I think the 13th level feature is
flavor.
okay. You get an advantage on initiative, and your teammates
You get
all get
advantage on
advantage
initiative.
to attack. A thing you
One
hate.
creature once, for one round.
I think that's pretty good.
I guess. You say so. I like it. I think it's a good, simple.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
It feels a little weak.
If it had a climbing and swimming speed, I might be a little better off on it. Also,
if it had a climbing and swimming speed, I put it in because it does.
Third level features okay. It's fine.
Third level feature, I think it's pretty.
I don't know.
I'd put it in C.
C. Yeah, I'm thinking.
If
C
it had
as
a
well.
climbing and swimming,
it might still be in C for me, because I mean it's not super common that stuff comes up.
I mean, I think it's still definitely. If it had climbing and swimming, it's easily still worth Trickster, but I think it might deserve to be bumped up. I think it would need it needs some sauce in there.
Yeah, it's a little unexciting. Up until that 17th level.
Get A, B, or like commanding B.
Soulknife. Most assassins strike with physical weapons, and many burglars and spies use thieves' tools to infiltrate secure locations. In contrast, a Soulknife strikes and infiltrates with the mind, cutting through barriers, both physical and psychic. These rogues discover psionic power within themselves and channel it to do their roguish work. They find easy employment as members of thieves' guilds, though they are often mistrusted by rogues who are leery of anyone using strange mind powers to conduct their business. Most governments would be happy to employ a Soulknife as a spy. Oh, good. I'm glad most governments would be happy to do that. Amid the trees of ancient forests, the material plane, and the Feywild, some wood elves walk the paths of the Soulknife, serving as silent, lethal guardians of their woods. In the endless war among the Gith's Arai is encouraged to become a Soulknife when stealth is required against the Githyanki foe. As a Soulknife, your psionic abilities may have hunted you since you were a child, only revealing their full potential as you experience the stress of adventure. You might have sought out a reclusive order of psychic adepts and spent years learning how to manifest your power. Yes. Psi power. Yahoo.
I was just saying this, like all the other psi classes, is complicated and wordy.
Oh, yeah, true. It definitely is. Um, I like I like this class. I like
It's cool.
uh I like multi-classing this with the Psi fighter, but I will say technically rules as written, just because they both get psionic energy dice doesn't mean you get to share the pool.
No.
Uh However, I don't care. I mean,
I mean, that's
obviously
something to talk to your DM about.
don't
I haven't
take
ever
that
considered it.
don't take that as like gospel or anything. But I mean, whatever, man. This shit does not matter to me. Uh Nonetheless, you get we're just talking about the soul knife. So you get an amount of psionic energy dice equal to twice your proficiency bonus, and you can use them to use powers. Um at
On
3,
top of that,
you get
you
2.
also get magic knives that
Yeah.
you can just create and throw, and then you just make them.
Um yeah. So you can use a psionic dice to help you with skill checks. It only gets used if the roll succeeds, which is nice.
That's how most of these features work, which is nice. Is you use it to do something. If it doesn't work, you don't use the die, which
Yeah.
is nice.
And then you can enter a telepathic link with people, which is cool. You can use dice
And
for
it's
that.
sort of baby telepathic bond, but you get it way earlier than anyone else gets telepathic bond.
Yeah,
Very powerful and can be used a lot.
it's pretty good.
It is good.
Yeah, the psychic blades are okay. Um, and by okay, I mean they're not very good.
What?
But they
They're just better than daggers.
daggers suck.
They're a great way to make a thrown weapon build work.
I was just about to
They're
say that if you're gonna use thrown weapons, psychic blades are a pretty good way to do that. Um, Despite the fact that throwing weapons is still kind of way worse than using a ranged weapon or just hitting people with a sword. But nonetheless, it's a thing that you can do.
I
Um,
mean, it has a 60-foot range, which is very good.
yeah,
Um, and it does psychic damage, which is also very good.
psychic damage is typically pretty good. Yeah. Not a lot of things resist it. Some things do though. Um,
Then you get some other cool features. You can teleport with your die with your thing, which is it's like you have to roll your psychic die. So when you teleport 10 times, that number rolled at level 9. So you kind of have to roll. I think it adds some tension sometimes, but it can be a bit annoying. Um, you also can add your roll to attack rolls, which is neat when you miss.
yeah,
But you don't use the die if you're the number when you add the die it still misses.
which is nice. You know, it's just cool. Teleporting is pretty cool.
Teleporting
Pretty
is
all
cool.
right
It's a
ninth level
bonus
feature.
action to teleport, which could be like um, could eventually be like 120-foot teleport technically.
Yeah,
At this level, it could be an 80-foot teleport if you roll an 8.
true.
Um, but it could also be a 10-foot teleport if you roll one. So it's a bit inconsistent.
Yeah,
But yeah. Your 13th level is pretty good too. You can turn invisible for an hour. You get like invisibility spell.
yep. It's an
Uh,
action, but also so is the invisible spell. So whatever.
yes.
Uh, Yeah, it pretty much just works the same way.
It's kind of just the same, yeah. You
You
can
can
use
just
it
use
once
a psi
per
dice.
day, but you can also use your psionic energy dice to
Just
do
do
it
it again.
again. Oh, you get it once for free, essentially.
Which is fine. I think at 13th
Pretty
level, being
good.
able to become invisible, even if it's just the second level version, for a psionic energy dice is something you're happy to do as a rogue.
It's pretty good, yeah. Um, the 17th level feature also very good. It's just whenever you
It's
damage someone with your psychic
you
blades
use
with
stunning
sneak
strike.
attack,
Wowee.
they make a wisdom save, which the DC is based off of your dex, which is good. Uh, and if it fails, it's stunned for a minute, and they can repeat their saving throw at the end of each of their
Yeah,
turn.
it's
You can do it once for free per long rest, and then you can do it again if you use a psionic energy die. Very powerful.
which admittedly, at this point, you probably are going to be using all of your psionic energy dice on this, but whatever, it's fine. It's really
Uh,
good.
I don't know. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it. You probably still want to do it. The psionic link, the psionic whispers thing, where you link a bunch of people, can be very powerful if you guys want to split up and infiltrate somewhere.
Yeah, but
Stay in
you can
contact with each
use the
other.
psionic link once without using energy dice. So, whatever.
That is true. I didn't know that. I missed that line. I've played with someone playing this class. I have not played this class. It's very cool. It's very good. You can teleport. Teleporting is very powerful.
Yeah. People take phase step all the time or misty step all the time with
You can also you teleport 80 feet, turn invisible
Yep, you
as
can.
a rogue.
You can do that in one turn as well. You can
Yeah,
teleport 80 feet and turn invisible in a turn as a rogue. You're happy to do it. And then you can stun people if you throw a psychic blade at someone while you're invisible, which you'll get sneak attack bonus because you're hidden. So
there's a lot of
uh,
fun stuff you can do.
it's good. It's good. I mean, once again, I think rogues are a little weak. I do think, however, if you play Soulknife with the updated rules, you're gonna have a lot of fun because rogues
This is a good
are getting a
subclass.
lot of utility and power, and Soulknife is getting a little bit updated too. So I'm happy about it.
As
I
far
would
as
put
I'm aware,
Soulknife in A.
Soulknife is just getting buffed. I'm pretty sure.
Pretty
They started.
much.
I believe the biggest change is just their psychic blade is just a bigger die. It goes from a d6 to a d8, and it also gets a 120-foot long range as well as at 60-foot range, which is very powerful. You generally don't want to attack things at disadvantage as a rogue ever, but
Yeah, but
you can if you can do it if this is just a buff, so why not? I think it's easily A, yeah. So
yeah,
I'm happy
I
with
think
that.
it's good.
It's just
Uh,
good. You can do a lot of fun stuff with it.
Swashbuckler. I like this class.
Wait. Swashbuckler. You focus your training on the art of the blade, relying on speed, elegance, and charm in equal parts. While some warriors are brutes clad in heavy armor, your method of fighting looks almost like a performance. Duelists and pirates typically belong to this archetype. Swashbuckler excels in combat and can fight with two weapons while safely darting away from an opponent. Right, what were you saying?
Yippee.
Continue.
I was just saying I like this class. I think it's most fun when you play it with a bard multiclass.
Yeah, this is a very neat idea. It's it has some fun ideas in there. You get to add your charisma to your initiative. You get an extra sneak attack condition, whereas if you're within 5 feet of a creature and no other creatures are within 5 feet of you, and you don't have disadvantage, you can sneak attack. Um, which is like it's like you're dueling which is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, if you attack someone, you can walk away from them without getting attacked, which is cool.
You get,
Nice.
like, the mobile feat for free.
Yeah. You also get bonus to your initiative rolls. Um, I think if you play this subclass with like 3 levels of a swords or valor bard, I think it's a lot of fun because you get those spells. You get to add your. I mean, you get more out of just having a bunch of charisma. I enjoy. Nonetheless, though, it's all right,
You,
I
you get,
guess.
like, a baby compel duel at 9th level.
Yeah, kinda.
Um, which is kind of fun. Makes it harder for them to attack people other than you, and they can't make opportunity attacks against people other than you. You are a rogue. You kind of want to be a duelist in this, but you're still not going to be super tanky. But you can do this against anything. So you could do this against minions. You could do this against
Yeah,
like a wizard. It's kind of, I don't know that it's amazing, but it's pretty good. It's
yeah, it's all right.
your 13th level feature is pretty bad. You can take a bonus action and get advantage on your next acrobatics or athletics check you make. Which is pretty bad, especially for a 13th level feature.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
I mean, it doesn't mean out of combat you can essentially have advantage on all acrobatics and athletics checks.
Well,
But I don't even know
currently,
if
how the game
that's
works is
very
you also get
good.
advantage on grappling. So.
Man, you would get advantage on grappling and shoving, but you're a rogue.
And also getting out of a grapple.
You would, yeah.
So it has that. It's
Does
not
have that.
it's not awesome, but it's something.
For the only thing your 13th level feat is pretty bad. And then your 17th level feature is if you miss with an attack, you can do it again. You get to roll again, but at advantage.
You could use it once for short rest,
One for short rest, which is okay.
which is not
Not
super good.
great as a 17th level feature. I mean, I feel like this one, which is not something I like to see. I really like to see, especially from classes like Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
It's you already has a big Rogue and Fighter a lot. You have a big reason to want to multi-class out of those to begin with. I really like to see powerful capstones and powerful high level features like the 13th and 17th because I think you already want to multi-class out of this. You were talking about how you want to do, this with or with
With like a
swords
swords
or
bard.
valor bard is very good, and I think that's true. But I think if you want to multi-class out of it, it should sort of feel like a drawback and not like a mandatory thing to do.
Yeah.
And Rogue really does tend to feel like this, and this is really a pretty bad example or a pretty optimal example because your stuff you start with is very good, and their 13th, 17th level features are barely worth having. um,
Yeah.
so there's no real reason to stay with this path.
Nope.
You almost are have to if you're gonna get to 10th level and onward, there's you should just multi-class out of this, which I think feels kind of bad.
It does. I like
Um, I think being
multi-classes sometimes,
able to
but
multi-class, like at 9th level, I think it would be cool to go, oh, my 13th level feature is cool, but I think I could make a really cool character if instead I went into
yeah, I
Sword
think in
Bard.
an ideal world, right? You should be able to multi-class out of something to fulfill a fantasy, and still be a good character, but also it isn't just optimal to do so. Like,
Yeah.
if you play a multi-class rogue, like Swashbuckler Rogue Bard, with just a Swashbuckler who went to 20, I mean, granted that they probably wouldn't both be in the same campaign, but I digress, and the Bard is just a way better character, I think that's just bad.
Yeah.
So,
Especially, generally, multi-classing, I feel like, should feel bad, at least for the beginning parts of it, and then you can sort of knit something together. Like,
yeah.
by the time you're getting your bard feature. So maybe at 20, it feels comparable, but at level 13, the Swashbuckler should just feel better. Probably. And it's definitely not that. Despite that, I think its third and ninth level features are pretty cool. So I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's the best. Even at ninth level, I feel like it's still fairly weak.
Yeah. I mean, getting like a charm person is fine, but it's not amazing. You could use
You
it
don't
out of
really want
combat
to
as much
compel
as you
dual
want.
powerful creatures as a rogue because you're a rogue and you're gonna die in one hit. You do have powerful defensive options like um,
When you have uncanny dodge.
uncanny dodge, but even still, I don't think you want to be at the forefront of combat even with
No, you
it.
have uncanny dodge and evasion so you can get into melee and not be killed, not so you can go 1v1 a big bad.
Yeah, which is kind of what you want to do with panache, but you can't really do that with panache.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like it doesn't quite get there. Its high level features fall flat.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I'd put it in like it's okay though, and it's a neat idea. So I'd put it in C.
I'd put it in C.
Mm.
Um, Thief. This was the one I was thinking of before. Obviously, right? You play a rogue, you want to be a thief. I feel like that's the most obvious thing. And I guess assassin as well, but to me, I'm like, a
The
rogue is a
thing.
thief. I'm gonna read it. I'm just saying. You hone your skills in larcenous arts. Burglars, bandits, cat purses, and criminals typically follow this archetype. But so do rogues who prefer to think of themselves as professional treasure seekers, explorers, delvers, and investigators. In addition to improving your agility and stealth, you learn skills useful for delving into ancient ruins, reading unfamiliar languages, and using magic items you normally couldn't employ. In any case, as I was saying, if you're playing a rogue, or I suppose if you see a rogue in other media, and you're like, oh, that's a rogue archetype character, this is, I mean, this is it. Like, this is what you want. So, yeah. I'm glad that it's appearing in the new player's handbook, and I'm glad they're updating it to be cool. Because it's kind of like,
It's a neat idea. It does kind of feel like Rogue Rogue. It has some fun parts to it, like uh, you can add your dexterity to jumps instead of strength, which feels very roguey.
yeah.
Um,
Climbing also doesn't cost you extra movement, which is weird
just
that it says
it's
that instead of
weird that
giving
it
you a climb speed. But
yeah, it is weird. I feel like it should just give you a climb speed.
yeah, not only, but yeah, I mean, you can do long jumps based on dex, but not high jumps.
Yeah, I guess. But
Uh,
you have a climb speed,
you do have a climb speed.
kind of.
Also, I don't know, man.
I
Like,
mean, I don't know how you'd read this other than you have a climb speed, but
I would once again, if it were me, I'd just be like, you get a climb speed, and you can add your dex
to
modifier.
jumping.
Yeah,
I would let you add it to, I don't know why it wouldn't be high jumps. Like why not?
but also
Um
if you Well, I mean, I guess it sort of has that already, right? Because it increases based on your dex mod, but I'd just be like, your dex and strength can both be here if you want.
Fast hands is
If Fast Hands
I
is
don't
like
know.
the thief thing, but unfortunately for them, and
It's like pretty worthless.
also something that is sort of being addressed in the update, is essentially what you're using this for is to use a potion as a bonus action. They're changing it to where you could just use a potion as a bonus action. So Fast Hands is no longer going to be able to do that. They're changing
Yeah.
it to something else.
You basically can just sleight of hand. You can do sleight of hand checks as a bonus action, or disarm a trap, or open a lock.
No.
Which I don't know. You don't do very often in combat.
Nope.
Generally, that stuff is like, oh, loot the. I mean, you can have tense moments where it's like you need to get in. You're being attacked. You're doing it in initiative or something, or there's a trap that you want to do in initiative, and you can have a moment with that. But generally, that's not very often, and it's hard to keep that interesting in a way where your rogue doesn't feel like they're doing nothing. Where it's like, oh, you walk over, roll a sleight of hand check, and then you either did it or you didn't, and the rogue feels like they're actually contributing something, and not just not getting to do the combat,
Yeah.
or it's a situation where you just kind of have to survive a trap while your rogue disarms it, and then it feels like nobody's doing anything but the rogue. You can have it where that's not the case and people are engaged, but it is a lot harder. So it's generally something that comes up like once in a campaign. Your higher level features, you get advantage on stealth checks if you don't move more than half your speed.
That's fine.
It's fine.
It's okay. I mean,
You can sneak in combat.
advantage on stealth goes a real long way when you have expertise.
Yeah. It basically like guarantees that you're stealthing.
Pretty much.
So, in combat, that is very nice. It feels very bad as a rogue to fumble your stealth check and go, well, I guess I'm not doing anything.
Sneaking is a mechanic in the game in general, though. I sort of have some problems with, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's a bit wishy-washy. It can be hard to interpret sometimes, but
use magic device.
it's pretty
Yippee.
worth
Now
it.
your fast hands is useful. It's actually not. Worthless. You can now use magic items as a bonus action. Which is pretty cool. Use like a wand of fireballs. It's a bonus action.
Can you do that? Is that how it works?
It's how that works. Your use magic device is pretty good. You can just use a magic item as a bonus action.
It doesn't specify that you can specifically use fast hands with magic device.
Yeah, but using a magic item is a use an object action.
Yeah, but if it specifies you get to use fireball as an action, does that not mean that you have to use an action to do it either way? Because you're casting a spell that is
I could
an
check
action.
right now.
Either way, all it really does, if that's the case, then you can do that without that. The only thing it does is you ignore race, class, and level requirements on magic items. No magic item has a level requirement that I've ever heard of. I don't know why that was. There's like one magic item that requires you to be an elf, and there are a few magic items that require you to be a class, but very few that are relevant to you because you aren't a class. That class. Most of the magic items that require you to be a class specifically reference a class feature like meta magic for sorcerer or something. So you being able to use this is worthless. Or like your spell book as a wizard. Some of them aren't worthless. Most of them aren't. So if you can use a wand of fireball, this doesn't matter because you could just use a wand of fireballs because it doesn't have a class, race, or level requirement. Or a wand of magic missiles or something. Those don't have class, race, and level requirements. So you could just use those as a bonus action if you can, which does make your bonus action thing better, but it doesn't actually make this feature any better.
Some people are saying that use magic item is a separate action as use an object, so you can't use it as a bonus action. I don't know. Well, I guess either way, if you can't use this as a bonus action, then it's pretty bad.
Yeah. There's probably some things you can do with it, but yeah. And if your DM's gonna homebrew a magic item for you to use and give it feels very artificial for it to be like, oh, it's a magic item for you that you can't use. But you can use it because you have this feature. It's like it's only usable by orcs or only usable by sorcerers, but it's for you. So it's like, oh, well, I mean, I guess. Your 17th level feature school, you get to take 2 initiatives in your on the first round of initiative. Which is pretty good. Either way, I feel like this one's being changed for a reason because it's bad. I don't know. I don't think this is very good.
Yeah.
There's certainly no reason for you to go above 9, and I don't even know if there's a good reason for you to go to 9. Going to 9 is good, but is there a reason that you'd want to go to 9? For any thematic reasons, any story reasons, or any build reason? I don't think so.
These people are literally disagreeing with each other on how this works, so obviously this needs to be reworded or something.
It does. It is very unclear, because what is use an object? I guess I could click.
Well, not only that, but this person's like, you can use spell scrolls, but you still have to use the ability check to use the scroll, because you don't have a level of spells equal to the scroll or whatever. But since you don't have a spell casting modifier, it's a +0. So you can use spell scrolls, but it's really bad and risky for you to use them. And then this person's like, oh, but you don't actually have to make the ability check. And it's just like, okay, whatever. I'm moving on.
Yeah, the description of use an object is you normally interact with an object while doing something else. When an object requires an action, use the use an object action. This action is also useful when you want to interact with more than one object on your turn. And that's the rules.
Yeah, good.
That's what use an object says. So
I don't.
If you can use a Wander Fireballs as a action for level 3, then that's. If you can't do anything with it, then if you can use it to like open a door as a bonus action.
Yeah, if use magic device is you can use Wand of Fireballs as a bonus action, sick. If use magic device is you can use a spell scroll as an action, but you have to make an ability check in which you get a +0 to, it's terrible. Cool.
I don't know. I'd put this D. The class just doesn't. It's very.
This class is
It's
ass.
a simple class that doesn't really do anything. None of the features have any flavor in them.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if you're playing 100% raw, which is sort of what we're basing this off of, and this is only raw, not including what's gonna be raw in literally a month, but nonetheless, you get to drink potions as a bonus action. That's your class, CP.
Most tables rule that as rule bonus action potions. Anyway,
And your level
I
17
don't know.
feature
I feel like
is
this one's
technically
very
insanely good, but whatever.
yeah. Your level 17 feature is good, but it's not doesn't have any thematic benefit to it. So getting to it with none of the rest of the class having any thematic benefit to it, like
It doesn't really feel like a capstone of like being a thief. It just feels like I get a really good ability,
yeah,
which is fine, right?
it is
But you don't
fine.
have to play rogue to do that. You should just play wizard because that's all wizard is. Like they don't get like a lot of cool thematic abilities. They just get, oh, I get a cool spell that is insane, and that's their class. So
Yeah, I don't know. It is this one. I feel like is obviously changed for good reason. It's just unclear, clunky, and no theming, and
yeah. Although if you have opinions, feel free to let me know how you think the thief is actually the best subclass in the game, and I'm wrong because you played a
I
level
mean,
17 campaign once, and taking 2 turns let you one round the BBG.
I feel like you could, depending on how you roll item stuff. If it's like my DM gave me a legendary magic item
That I could
British
use as a bonus
action,
action every turn, yeah, that's
and
pretty
it could be
insane.
crazy. But
But
I feel like you could go to another table with the character, and the DM would go, "You can't do anything."
yeah, sorry, it just means you can wear armor that only elves can wear, and that's it. Get fucked.
Yeah,
Also, you don't have the armor proficiency, so you still can't wear it. Get fucked times 2.
yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, whatever. That's it. That's all the rogues. We're done. See you next time.